last weekend Dominic was in London, and over some hot butter cuttlefish and some mutton rolls, he just told me how it is actually possible for Sri Lanka to make the World Test Championship final, isn't it, Dom?
Yeah, Estelle, I don't understand why you're being so negative here. All Australia have to do is lose these two test matches and lose 8 additional points from overrate penalties, and Sri Lanka have their chance to get in. So no, jokes aside, it is pretty much over. Um, you can't expect a series in the subcontinent that's not going to last likely all 5 days to result in overrate penalties. Just doesn't really happen. We heard Ben Stokes' explanation as to why. But yeah, I agree with Estelle. It's really sad that Pathum and Kamindu are in danger. I mean, it seems like Pathum definitely, and my understanding is Kamindu split his webbing during a first class game, and yeah, we talked about this in the South Africa series. These two guys are they're the difference makers. When we are competitive, when we win test matches, it's when they go big. But it's not that the other players aren't good or capable, it's that they're the difference makers. They're the guys we rely on to provide match winning performances.
Yeah, I think that's kind of the big worry here, Nick, isn't it? Because in the last year, I suppose these two were the guys who've been making up the runs, who are kind of getting us excited. Maybe some people might say Custom Mendes is kind of finally finding his groove in Test match cricket, but who else is gonna make these runs up? Where can we be expecting these runs to come from?
Yeah, I think, as Dom said, these are the two big ticket guys, right? The guys who you tune in to seeing who you want to watch. And if you look back on last year, I mean, the most impactful innings were probably the one Pathum played at the Oval, and I guess the ones that Kamindu played in Bangladesh and at Old Trafford. But I mean, you've got to think there's plenty of experience in this batting lineup. Chandy got a big double the last time Australia were here. It's a series where Dimuth will feel that he needs runs. I do think, for the record, that Kamindu with split webbing will probably make it for the first test. And I would imagine that either Nishan Madushka or possibly Ashada Fernando. I would have thought Nishan Madushka will get the nod at the top of the order. So, I mean, it's a huge opportunity for him, as much as he had a lean run during his last stretch in the side. I thought he was had a bit of a tough time of it, being asked to open the batting and keep wicket in England. So it's a good opportunity for him. And yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that top five, top six goes, potentially without Pathum and Kamindu.
On the basis that the World Test Championship is now out of reach for us, and we know, or we suspect, and we'll get to this in a bit, that there'll be a couple more kind of permanent vacancies coming up in the batting lineup with various retirements and players being looked to be cycled out. Is this actually, Dominic, something, a negative that could be turned into a positive? Because it's an opportunity, in theory, to give four different batters a chance
Yeah,
here across the test.
yeah, it's funny. Obviously, Patham and Kamindu are not the ones that are going to be making way. But to speak in not so veiled terms, we are looking for that second opener, someone to pair with Patham at the top. Nishan Madushka is someone who should be given a chance. He's played well when he's played in Sri Lanka. I think obviously a bit of fine tuning is needed for his overseas technique. And I think the question is, what does the pecking order look like for test batters? And Nick mentioned Ashada, right? And Ashada, good player, certainly capable of batting in tests, but he's 32, pushing 33, right? So is he the guy you want to invest in, or do you want to look younger? Do you want to look at someone like uh, Pasindu Surya Bandara as someone who can come in for the long term, someone who can bat in that middle order in the future. And I think that's something that they're going to want to consider or think about as they progress. And I think, and we'll get into this when the sort of what is the phasing out of this retirement and what is the plan for replacing the players. And I think we've talked about this continually: is, are we making the right decisions, not just in the short term, but in the long term? Are we thinking broadly? Who are we bringing in? What kind of ceiling do these players have? what kind of can they become game changing players, right? And we've debated endlessly with a player like Kamindu. Was it good that they waited 2 years, or was it a loss that they waited 2 years? And I think you can read it both ways.